What is going on, FB Nation? Trying to bet you, Keith. I'm so welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Playbook Live show. We got 11 games here on a Tuesday to get to. Keith, we've kind of been talking about this slate all day long. Kind of some very interesting matchups, some very interesting potential ownership as well, where the chalk is. And I know we're going to dive into that pitching specifically because it seems like that's kind of been the story of the early MLB DFS season.
Yeah, very interesting slate. Plenty of options up in the top range. Some very interesting options down in the low range of pitching as well. Some good offenses in pretty good spots. So definitely like this slate quite a bit. Can't wait to talk about the pitchers, as you're alluding to.
Yeah, like I said, there's going to be some very interesting ownership. We have that over at Fantasy Alarm. Again, we'll update it as we get closer to roster lock. Our guy Justin Carlucci on the Playbook today. He's got that live for you guys over at Fantasy Alarm as well. And hopefully we're going to continue to keep the winning going. Yesterday, obviously, we were in on the Tampa Bay Rays in that stack against Tanner Houck. You like the Dodgers. The Braves went off against Lucas. I know Grande was all in on that play there as well. So we'll keep it going. We appreciate you guys in the chat. JC asking how we're late. So, sometimes you got to get some tech stuff in order, man. It happens. Keith just paid his taxes. I just paid my taxes too, man. So I'm with you. Let's get that money back and hopefully win some here today. Guys, we got the 7-day free trial going on. As you see the QR code right up there on the screen, fantasyalarm.com/win. When you start your 7-day free trial, use promo code Let's Go and you get that first month for less than $20. So make sure you go check out today's playbook for free. Our lineup generator, our ownership projections, all of that stuff you can get for free with the 7-day free trial. All right, Keith, let's get into it. Pitching. Schwellenbach is your top price starter at 10.5. Hunter Brown at $10,000 against the St. Louis Cardinals. Max Fried, Jack Flaherty round out your top 4 starting pitchers in terms of pricing. If you had to rank the 4, which would you prefer to build your lineups around today?
Flaherty is too cheap in this spot. Unfortunately, so does the rest of the field, according to what we're seeing from ownership projections. Yeah. I can't disagree with that, though. He has been incredible dating back to last season. A little bit surprised he couldn't find a better deal in free agency. He's back with the Tigers now, where he had a ton of success last season. This Milwaukee offense is not that scary to me. So I agree with the Flaherty chalk. He is being the cheapest of the 4. He would be my number 1 guy. I don't love the ownership number, and I am looking for pivots, so I don't have to go way over the field on him. And as I said, there's a ton of interesting options cheaper today as well. But Hunter Brown would be my second guy here. Schwellenbach is amazing. He's a super talented young guy. The matchup against Toronto, though, I think leaves a bit to be desired. They're not a huge strikeout team. Schwellenbach's still very inexperienced, so I lean to Hunter Brown next. The dude, this time last year, we were talking about a move to the bullpen for Hunter Brown. He was struggling mightily, and ever since then, he has been absolutely lights out. Matchup against St. Louis, who has not been a great offense this season. There's a ton of strikeouts at the bottom of the St. Louis lineup. They're pretty low strikeout at the top, outside of Wilson Contreras. But the bottom of the lineup, there's a ton of Ks available for Hunter Brown. He's been awesome for at least the second half of last year, even dating back a little further than that. He's just been incredible. Max Fried, I think, is fine. He's not typically a high upside pitcher. He's an awesome real life pitcher. Mm-hmm. He proved that wrong last start. He had 11 strikeouts, I believe it was. So good for him. Yeah. I don't think that's the guy that Max Fried is. He's a guy that's going to keep the ball on the ground, induce a lot of double plays. So not necessarily the highest DFS guy typically. I'll probably avoid him in this matchup against Kansas City. If he goes out and has double-digit strikeouts again, then I guess egg on my face. But Flaherty is my top guy. Hunter Brown next. I'd go Schwellenbach and Fried.
From an ownership perspective too, you look at what the Cardinals did last night to Framber Valdez, and we kind of talked about that on the show. Grande pointed out like really good numbers for St. Louis against lefties, even though their lineup is generally a bit more lefty heavy. You still had Brendan Donovan come through with 4 hits last night. And then when you see like a really good pitcher like Framber Valdez go down and get hit, people are a bit more reluctant to play the next day's starting pitcher. And that's what you have now, but it's completely different splits, obviously. They still don't strike out a ton, but Hunter Brown coming around 10%, like good tournament leverage. Fried is the second highest currently rostered starting pitcher. Flaherty, we actually just got a little bit of an update, bumped down a bit there. Jeffrey Springs, when we did the preview show, I thought this guy was going to be like 30%. Like everybody's going to go target Jeffrey Springs, left-handed pitcher against the Chicago White Sox. The numbers for Chicago this year against left-handed pitching are dreadful. We just saw obviously a guy super talented, obviously, in Garrett Crochet nearly throw a perfect game against them. Fourth highest strikeout rate in baseball are the White Sox against lefties, nearly 30%. Just a 198 batting average, an 083 ISO, 239 WOBA in that sense. And then as Grande pointed out, the last two starts for Springs where he's been shaky or at home in that really good hitter's ballpark. His opening day start was in Seattle, a pitcher's park, and he tossed 6 shutout innings with 9 Ks. Back on the road out of that Sacramento ballpark, I felt like things were going to be lining up for a big Jeffrey Springs day, and yet he's sitting around 15, 16% ownership. Now, it is an 11-game slate, so I expected ownership maybe to be a bit spread out, but I thought he would have been, at that price point, one of the highest rostered players of the day.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm loving the ownership I'm seeing here for this spot for Jeffrey Springs. The matchup against the White Sox is absolutely elite. They are a little bit better against lefties, but they're still a really bad offense.
Yes.
Certainly nothing on the caliber of the Padres and the Cubs that he's faced in his last two. So great matchup for him. I would normally comment on the leash for Jeffrey Springs, but he was up over 100 pitches his last time out. So Tampa Bay was pretty careful with him. He was generally in that 80 pitch range. If he has a little bit more of a leash here with the Athletics, as it appears he does, if they're going to let him go 100 pitches, then I have nothing bad to say about Jeffrey Springs in this spot.
Yeah, the pitch count is a great call. 103 pitches after 80 and 80. Obviously he's coming off the arm injury with Tampa Bay, but good to see them kind of work through and give him that leash against a good Padres team here. Where do you want to go next? I mean, what's your next mid-tier option? Is there someone that you're looking to target? I know in our group chat today, we're talking about some of the value down below here, but anything you want to kind of highlight in this range?
We got to talk about Kevin Gausman, because last week on this show, we were talking about how he's washed, he's old, he's not the same guy that he was. And then he went out and he dominated the Red Sox. So I don't know what to think of Kevin Gausman. Obviously, a formerly great pitcher, has not been that guy for the better part of a year now. So I don't know if he's figured some things out here with this last start. He's just an interesting name that I thought I'd point out. The matchup against Atlanta is one we haven't been afraid of here recently either.
Right. And now they don't have Marcell Ozuna, which takes away a big right-handed power bat in the middle of that lineup for them. Obviously Sean Murphy, for whatever reason, is now picking up the homers, which, I'm fine with as someone who has them on their fantasy team. But, I don't think we're going to expect to see him homer as frequently as he has been. With Gausman, the one thing that happened with him during last year was a big drop in velo. He's obviously dealing with the injuries. Reports during spring training was the fastball was back up to like 96, 97 miles an hour. Certainly could be a reason to translate. I mean, facing Baltimore, New York, and Boston. Baltimore, New York, tougher matchups to open the season. And we've seen now the Red Sox are really struggling, right? It basically started in this Toronto series with Kevin Gausman blowing them away on that Friday. So I'm kind of with you there. Again, if the tough part with him, obviously, is he's going against Schwellenbach. So the win equity in that game is a little bit lower for him. But the rest of his mid-tier, I mean, Shota versus San Diego, not really a great spot. We like Springs. Tyler Mahle versus the Angels could be appealing, but I think the Angels are going to hit some home runs, I think, today in this matchup. Tyler McGill, someone that Grande liked in the morning show. We have not really been too afraid of going against Minnesota. He's shown some strikeout potential here. What do you think of this spot?
Yeah, McGill looks pretty good here. I like the matchup against Minnesota. They have struggled offensively this season, and even the second half of last year. They've just not been very good of late. McGill is interesting. The strikeouts have been, the walks have been a problem. So the pitch count gets elevated too quickly, and he typically doesn't work. The risk for McGill on a different slate, I would be totally fine playing a bunch of lineups with McGill. I do like some cheaper options here. Namely Ryan Pepio is the next guy I certainly want to talk about. But McGill is fine if you're looking for a pivot. But the spot that some of the guys below him are in, I think will leave him a little bit lower on for me today.
All right, well, let's talk Pepio here. Got the Boston Red Sox. We saw Shane Baz last night outside of a small blip against Christian Campbell, which will happen. Again, dominate 10 plus strikeouts in that game. We've highlighted the Red Sox. Were basically shut out against the White Sox over the weekend. They had really bad troubles against the Blue Jays in the series before that. Plenty of name talent up and down that Red Sox lineup, but something isn't clicking. Pepio was one of the highlights in that deal coming back for Tyler Glasnow, rather. What do we like about Pepio in this matchup?
Yeah, you touched on the pedigree for Pepio is incredible. He was basically the headliner in a deal for one of the best pitchers in baseball. So the guy has talent. He has struggled a little bit out of the gate this season. The strikeouts haven't been up as high as they were last season, but looking at some of the underlying stuff, his swinging strike rate is actually higher than it was last season. So there are more strikeouts coming for Ryan Pepio. The control has been a little bit of an issue for him early on. The walk rate is up, which is leading to fewer called strikes for him. But the swinging strike stuff, the whiffs look really good. So I'm still on board Pepio here. He's been reverse splitsy throughout his career. So lefties in the lineup don't bother me whatsoever. In fact, they're a plus for him. The Red Sox should roll out about 4 lefties in this lineup. Pepio looks great. I know this is a ballpark that we've targeted offense in, but you mentioned the Red Sox struggles of late. I know you're a Red Sox fan, so you follow that team closely.
Wearing a Red Sox shirt as we talk bad about them. So
there you go. But a lot of strikeouts here. So I think the upside for Pepio down here at 7,400, like 7-8 Ks in this spot would not surprise me.
Yeah, I love it. All right, let's get to probably the most confusing thing of the day. All day long, Charlie Morton has projected to be the highest rostered starting pitcher today. The numbers for Charlie Morton are not very good. They're actually just outright bad. And yet they have this matchup against Cleveland. They're home. Cleveland this year, their lineup not great. Like they still have Jose Ramirez, but obviously they've lost a little bit of thump. No longer Josh Naylor. Lane Thomas is kind of out. Strikeout rate's higher than it's been in the past. So just a 219 average against righties. Are we really clicking Charlie Morton today? Is that what we're doing?
So I get that he's cheap. And the strikeouts have been there too. So I would have interest if the field does not, but it appears that the field does. And so I'm just going to lead into his run prevention problems and hope that he gives up 4 or 5 runs in this spot. And he's not a guy that I need for tournaments. If he was lower owned, I could understand the appeal for the spot. Like you mentioned, Cleveland, not necessarily the offense that we've avoided in the past where they were extremely high contact. They've traded out some of these bats and there's a lot more strikeouts in the lineup. Guys like Nolan Jones, Kyle Manzardo should be a full-time player this season. Mm-hmm. Bo Naylor at catcher. Like there's some strikeouts in this Cleveland lineup that there has not been in the past. And Morton's strikeout stuff has actually looked pretty good this season, despite him being on the wrong side of 40, which is just wild. But he continues to have swing and miss stuff. So I understand there's upside here. I don't like the ownership number is the biggest knock against him.
Yeah.
The price looks good. There should be some strikeouts here. But hopefully Cleveland can touch him up for a few runs, and he's a guy that I can be underweight on and find some success that way.
Yeah, I mean, really, though, and the strikeout numbers really only look good because of that Boston start, right? 10 strikeouts in 5 innings against Boston, 3 strikeouts in 3 innings, 4 strikeouts in 5 against Arizona, Toronto, fine. But like you said, giving up a lot of hits, walked 5 guys against Arizona in that game as well. I thought for sure as we got closer to roster lock that the number would dip. And we've since had some updates like on this show, and he's just maintained being the top price starting pitcher now, or top rostered. As I say that, I literally just hit the refresh button. He's fallen down. Jeffrey Springs is now your highest rostered pitcher. So all is right in the world. That is what I expected to see. So he's still getting over 16% ownership, but it's not the over 20 that it was before. Jeffrey Springs is getting it. Landon Knack, however, is now up to 19%. Colorado matchup, 69 pitches in his last start, only 2 1/3 innings. Can you spend $7K on a guy that might not get out of the third?
Yeah, this is another one that I'm not quite understanding. There's still one more name down here that we haven't talked about that I really like as my pivot in this range. I get the matchup. Colorado is awful, especially against away from Coors Field. So I understand the matchup is elite. Knack is looking at a ceiling of probably 80 pitches in this spot. Like, are they really going to extend him more than 15 pitches? I don't know. Like, the leash is just not there for a guy that's 7K. If he was 6K, maybe a little bit different conversation. He's not a super elite strikeout guy. Like, I'm not buying it with Landon Knack either. The guy that I'm looking to target here is Bailey Ober, who does not have near the matchup of a guy like Landon Knack, and he has struggled also this season, but has a long track record of being a really good starting pitcher. Not a super elite strikeout guy, but we're talking about a guy who is $6,700. Like we've paid over $8K for Bailey Ober plenty of times.
Yeah.
The matchup against the Mets is not ideal, but like the price is too cheap. I would pay $7,500 for Ober in the spot. So the fact he's down here at $6,700, the Mets do present some power on the other side. They also don't strike out a ton, so it's not the best upside spot. But when you're talking about a $6,700 pitcher who can work 5-6 innings with 4 or 5 strikeouts, I'm totally in on Ober.
He's like a 200 strikeout guy,
Yeah.
So like the upside's certainly there. And yeah, I understand the weather concerns and whatnot, or not the weather concerns, but the matchup concerns rather against the Mets and whatnot. Sure. But I'm with you. I mean, like a caliber of this pitcher who's 83, 88, and 82 and 77. He hasn't really, he's gone for 14 and 16 fantasy points his last 2 starts. I don't see why all of a sudden they dumped him $1,000 on this slate. So I'm kind of in agreement with you. Grande also thought that price tag was a bit ridiculous on Bailey Ober. So I'm good going there. I don't really care for much of the other value. You have Quinn Priester, did make that debut start in Coors and did limit them to an earned run. I like Detroit's offense. I'm not really going to go chase Quinn Priester here. He has another good start, fine. But other than that, I think it's good to go here. Did I freeze up on you, or am I still alive here?
I can still hear you. It looks like your video might have froze, but I can still hear your audio fine.
I just had like my screen go black on me here. So if I disconnect, let me know what happens, and hopefully we can get this up and running here momentarily. Is the screen still working for you? Are we still good?
Yes, I still see your screen share, and your audio is coming through crystal clear. So,
all right, love it. Then we'll just go to catcher, and hopefully the camera starts working here momentarily. All right, where do we want to go when it comes to the catcher position today? We don't generally like to spend up, but there certainly are some spots to spend up here today.
Yeah, I mean, the Orioles are in a great spot. Adley Rutschman is the top guy that I'm looking at here up in this high range of the salary. Logan Allen, just not a pitcher I'm afraid of. So definitely don't mind going there. Will Smith is a guy you can certainly always play. I do want to touch on Ryan Feltner here a little bit, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go back to Feltner. Sure.
Well, no, not for a pitcher that I want to play today necessarily. Just the matchup for the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are going to catch some ownership, as they should, as an elite offense. But Ryan Feltner's actually been really good this season. The underlying numbers look awesome. His walk rate is down. His strikeouts are up. Underlying stuff on his strikeout numbers looks totally legit. His swing and strike rate's above 13%, and the whiff rate on his changeup and his sweeper is both above 50%. So Ryan Feltner, a guy I have my eye on, not to play in DFS today, but maybe in the future here, he might have figured some things out. So sure. I'm down on the Dodgers today compared to the field, I would say. Sean Murphy, as you mentioned, has been incredible. I don't like the matchup if Gaussman has figured things out. So probably looking to go a little bit cheaper here. Perez gets freed, who's an elite guy as well. He can always chase a home run there.
Yeah.
I think probably the next guy I have interest in is Dylan Dingler. It has been good for Detroit. You mentioned Detroit's offense being interesting. They're kind of on the come up. I'd like that a decent amount as a one-off. Don't even mind stacking them against Priester, who's had run prevention problems in the past.
Yeah, they have a 341 WOBA and a 180 ISO against right-handed pitching. So, a lot of their good power bats are from, Riley Green and Carpenter and whatnot from the left side. Obviously, Dingler and Torkelson, from the right side have hit the ball really well this year. So, if Quinn Priester hasn't figured things out, he could be in some trouble today.
Yeah, for sure. I know that you and Grande have pounded home the point about Cubs catchers, and Miguel Amaya looks amazing in this spot. Randy Vasquez has an ERA under 2. That's not going to hold. He has a 159 BABIP. He has not allowed a home run this year, 0% home run to fly ball. Randy Vasquez is a guy that we picked on in the past. He is a guy that I'm going to target a ton today. I love Miguel Amaya, who's been just absolutely crushing the baseball, along with his battery or his other catcher here on the team, Carson Kelly, who's banged up a little bit right now. So I do expect it to be Amaya again. Kelly got hit in the hand the other day, so it probably gets a couple of days off here. Amaya looks really good at 3,100.
Yeah, Darno's getting the ownership love right now against Tyler Mahle. Again, I think Angels could be an option for us. He's hitting 5th in that lineup. We know there is some power. He hasn't looked great this year, but a potential spot for him. Higashioka is someone that always had a lot of power against left-handed pitching. Kikuchi, someone that gives up home runs, and not a great start to the year for Kyle Higashioka backing up Jonah Heim, but I wouldn't mind going to this matchup here today as a punt catching option. I'm just going to quickly pull up what his splits were last year against left-handed pitching, but we played him a lot when he was with the Padres, especially in those spots. Versus left-handed pitching last season, he had a 309 ISO against left-handed pitching last year for Higashioka. 273 the year before that, New York, 209, 281. He's obviously always been a part-time player, and some of his overall numbers don't look great. He only hit 198 last year, but 309 ISO, you can't ignore that. So, if you think that today against Kikuchi, Higashioka 2400 could just be your cheap catcher home run play.
Yeah, even dating back to his days with the Yankees, he was a guy that we play against lefties. So I'm totally on board with that call against a fly ball lefty. Certainly can look for a home run there. Gary Sanchez cracked the lineup for the Orioles. Like, this is a great spot against a lefty for him. Another catcher that we've targeted against lefties throughout his career. He might strike out 3 times, but if he gets that home run, then you're cooking, especially at this price.
Yeah. Another one, again, cheap home run play. If you need the extra $200, great. I think I'd probably go the Higashioka route over him, but I don't mind the savings there. Elias Diaz was another guy that also hits, for 200, or hits for good for against lefties, and he's only $2,400 here for his career. I know it's Shota, and probably not a spot you're looking to totally target, but Shota's had some troubles here and there as well. Anything else that catch it for you?
I think that covers it.
Love it. First base position we go. We spend a lot of time in the mid-range. I like to kind of ogle over, Aranda and Rice and Torkelson in that $3,800, $3,900 range. But I do think, again, going with the narrative of Cubs today, Michael Busch is homered in 3 straight games. Randy Vasquez, as you mentioned, has an ERA under 2 this year with a 6.38 expected ERA, 6.32 xFIP. He has almost a 7 walks per 9 and just a 3.5 K per 9. That is horrifically bad numbers. I just don't see how he can survive pitching that way. Michael Busch, lefties last year against Vasquez, tore that guy apart.
Yep.
Give me Busch if we're spending up today. Nothing against Ohtani. You can throw him in there if you want. I know you're a guy that you think Feltner might be able to hold them down a little bit. But Alonso, Guerrero, Freeman, Soderstrom. Now I'm just going right to Michael Busch if I'm spending up today.
Yeah, Michael Busch is one of my favorite hitters on the entire slate. So 100% on board with that. He's red hot. And the numbers for Vasquez is particularly against lefties, like even dating back to last year, just been absolutely smoked by lefties. Like I mentioned, he's not going to continue to have an ERA under 2. The underlying stuff is very, very ugly. The strikeout rate is non-existent. He's going to give up some home runs. So Michael Busch, one of my favorite hitters on the entire slate. Ohtani, you can always play. I don't care what the matchup is. Of course, he's good. Freeman on the same side. I do. If the Dodgers are getting to Feltner today, lefties have given Feltner problems in the past. So I certainly think Freeman is very much in play as well. Let's see. Soderstrom, a guy you can always play, gets a matchup against a rookie here today. Yeah. We played him a bunch this season. Not in that awesome ballpark that we've been targeting so much, but the White Sox park is pretty home run friendly as well. The weather this time of year not perfect for it, but I do like the matchup here against a rookie on the other side. Let's see. Moving down the salary range a little bit. Before we get to those guys that you really like in the mid range, Ryan Mountcastle, a name you didn't throw out there. I definitely like him against lefties. I love this spot for Baltimore today. Yeah,
when we did the preview show, I kind of encompassed Mountcastle versus lefties, Torkelson, Rice, and Aranda. Nolan Shanuel has also homered in back-to-back games. They worked with his bat speed in the offseason, tried to give him some more strength. He had like one of the lowest qualifying exit velocities among hitters last year, trying to really up his power. But yeah, I'm living Torkelson against Priester, Rice versus Waka, Aranda versus Buehler. Buehler's numbers against lefties this year, like most of the Red Sox pitchers, not great. Aranda hitting cleanup tonight. It's that ballpark that we love targeting. A ton of run. I mean, again, if you watch this show, we were in against Tanner Houck last night. The guy 10 hits, 10 runs, 12 hits in the 2 1/3 inning or whatever, like brutal. I don't expect that out of Walker Buehler, but like I still think Tampa Bay is going to put up some runs today. So if you're not spending up on Michael Busch today, just click one of these guys. I don't care which one it is. Honestly, I think they're all in great spots to do a lot of damage today.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Waka is not afraid to give up home runs. Ben Rice has been incredible. You've touched on his Statcast page the other day, which looks just awesome.
Yeah. I'll save everybody from sharing it again. But yeah, it is very red and very to the right, which is where we want it. So.
Yep, absolutely. Aranda, another guy who's hitting the ball really hard. So love that call as well.
Yeah, again, just ridiculous numbers out of him. Always on the right side of his split, which is great because he's a lefty, so he'll be in the lineup a ton for them there. Any other like value? There's only a couple more guys that are even probably worth looking at. Anything you would look to play though?
Not finding anything to love because that high 3K range is so strong. Casas has big power if he can ever find the ball. He's just swinging and missing way too much.
Yeah.
Justin Turner, if he cracks the lineup, I wouldn't hate that. The power has not been there for Turner, but I like the matchup against Vasquez. Even for the righties, I'll have a ton of Cubs. Slightly prefer the lefties, but I'll have plenty of Cubs righties as well.
So I'm on DraftKings Sportsbook. Randy Vasquez over 2.5 earned runs today is plus 105. I'm gonna bet that. I'm gonna bet that number. I'm gonna bet that number. He can't do it. He can't keep getting away with it. Jesse Pinkman meme. Going out there he's gonna get smoked. Cubs have an implied team run over 4.5. Like it's just gonna happen, man. They just can't do it. So I like that.
I will say, as long as we're on the subject of the Cubs, San Diego's bullpen has been absolutely elite. So if hopefully they get to Vasquez in 2 innings and he's out of the game, and you have to get into the back or the front end of that San Diego bullpen that has not been shut down. But if Vasquez somehow manages to make it through 4 or 5, then things for your Cubs stack are not looking great because that San Diego bullpen is awesome.
No, not looking good at all there. Second base, Jazz Chisholm is your top guy. Yesterday on the show, I thought he was too expensive, and then he homered. Again, Michael Wacha, though, in Yankee Stadium. Homers are going to happen in this game. So if you do find a way to spend $5,600 for Jazz Chisholm, at that price, you almost need more than a home run. He's homered in back-to-back games. You kind of need like a home run and a stolen base or a 2-run home, like more than just the solo, I think, to pay off a $5,600 price tag. Westberg leading off against Logan Allen at 51. This kind of appealing to me there as well. And then Brandon Lau at 48.
Yeah, I love the Westberg call. I'm in on Baltimore for sure today against Allen. Lau is a guy that I play a ton. Buehler looked better his last start, but still doesn't look like the Walker Buehler that we knew from his Dodgers days.
He did give a good quote. He said it was the first time he felt like he could throw violently or something like that after that game, where they asked him like how he felt. He says the first time I felt like I could be violent on the mound. So maybe he's just saying like he trusts the arm now. He's not worried about the arm injuries. So something to like maybe consider there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good to hear. You're like, pitcher injuries are my least favorite thing about baseball because I love watching good pitchers pitch. Buehler was a formerly great pitcher. Hopefully he can get back to what he once was coming off that arm injury. But I'm certainly playing Brandon Lau today. Alex Bregman, another guy I don't mind. I mentioned Pepio splits. So I think Bregman is one of the biggest threats in this Boston lineup to Pepio. Probably not stacking against Pepio, but you can certainly play him as a one-off. Great ballpark there in Tampa. Let's see what else we're working with here. Gleyber Torres leading off for Detroit. Certainly not a guy I mind. Kyron Paris, a guy we've played a bunch early this season, has been hot. Has cooled off a little bit. We'll see where he ends up ultimately this season. But I'll continue.
His 500 BABIP doesn't seem like it's survivable, but
probably not
where we're at.
I think the power is the thing that might be real here with some swing adjustments. You sent me a great article about his working with his Aaron Judge's hitting coach. So like we've seen guys like Justin Turner is probably the best example of guys who just changed their swing after struggling earlier in their careers. Maybe Paris is going through something like that. Like you said, he's not going to have a 500 BABIP. I think the batting average will lag far behind the power. So and there's a little bit of speed there too, which is another reason I don't mind targeting Paris.
I'm with you. Again, I think there's, especially in this matchup, right? Again, where I'm in on going against Tyler Mahle, so I'm good going Karen Barris. Christian Campbell had the homer enough buzz. If you want to go there at 4K, I'm good with that as well. We had a question on Colt Keith. He is not hitting at all. He is walking a ton, which I guess could be good for, the walk points, but hitting fifth today, I don't really have an interest in this just because we haven't seen anything out of him yet. What's your take on Colt Keith, and is there any other value that you like?
Yeah, I mean, Colt Keith is a guy who had an awesome second half last season. He's a guy who hit all the way through the minors, like former top prospect. He's facing a pitcher who hasn't necessarily figured it out in the big leagues yet. I know his last start was pretty good, but if Priester is more of a 4A pitcher and Colt Keith ends up being on the fringe of 4A hitter, maybe this is a matchup he can exploit. So sure. I don't mind it, even though we haven't seen it. Like I said, Detroit's an offense I have interest in today. So in the 5-hole there, I'm probably only play him in a stack, but I'd be fine with it.
Is Amador going to be in the lineup today? Yeah, him against
he did just get the call up, right? So yeah. I assume he's coming up to play, a talented young guy for the Rockies.
Yeah. Obviously hasn't been good yet, but I mean, matchup against Knack feels a little bit more appealing than like Dustin May or something like that he's had to run against. So I wouldn't mind it. And then if you did want a White Sox, they called up Chase. It was a Meadroth. Is that how we pronounce that? I'm not really sure how they go about it. Super good contact guy at the minor leagues. Doesn't offer a lot of power or stolen base upside necessarily, but at $2,200, if you just need a guy that might get you a hit or two against Springs tonight, even pitching Springs, I'm okay going batter versus pitcher. I don't always expect my pitchers to throw perfect game shutouts. So if Meadroth gets some hits, you can get some value there at $2,200. Especially in a sport where, I told Grande this the other day. I played Soto and Alonso, spent like $12,000, and they had 4 total points. So,
baseball happens for sure.
The beauty of baseball there. All right, third base again. Charlie Morton. If the field was going to them, you have Jose Ramirez, could be a good pivot off of them to get some upside there. Where else do you like to go at third today?
Yeah, love that Ramirez shout out. If I'm going to be underweight on Morton, it makes a lot of sense to be overweight on Jose Ramirez as the guy who can do the most damage against him. Devers you can play anytime as well. Another guy with big time upside. Mentioned Westberg and Bregman at second, so won't repeat anything here. Let's see. Austin Riley looks like he's kind of figured it out with a couple of home runs his last game. Tough matchup against Gaussman if he's figured it out, but again,
he's been hot. I mean, not just the homers, but multi hits now, and was it 5 of 6? Something like that. So
yeah, anytime we get a guy who's struggled to begin the season, their price is probably too low for what it should be. Like Austin Riley's not going to be 4,300 most of the season. So don't.
And Riley's always had better numbers against righties than lefties generally anyway. So this is if Gaussman has any sort of regression from an 8 shutout, 10 strikeout performance, Riley could be primed to bounce there.
Yep, for sure. Let's see here. What else are we working
I like Paredes against Fetty. Yeah. Fetty threw a no-hitter through 6 innings last time. I don't foresee a repeat performance coming from that spot either. And then Matt Shaw's been really bad, but again, if we're just going to stack against Vasquez, $3,700 is there.
Yep, in on both of those names for sure. Shaw, one of the best prospects in baseball, has off to a slow start. But this might be a good get right spot for him. So I like that call. Josh Young, another guy who's just too cheap for his talent level. Matchup against a fly ball lefty. I'm totally in on Josh Young today.
Yeah, let me pull up the Josh Young stats against left-handed pitching just to kind of reiterate what this guy was before the injuries last year, especially as a rookie against left-handed pitching. Or is it a 300 ISO in 2023, 297 ISO in 2022? He's got a 200 ISO in 5 plate appearances this year against a lefty. Obviously short sample size there, but he hit 327. 2023 was his full rookie year, by the way. So 327 in 2023 with a 300 ISO against left-handed pitching. Yusei Kikuchi is someone that gives up a lot of homers, a lot of fly balls. I think when we did the preview show last night, Josh Jung was our plug. Yeah, Warren's in here. Jung agreed 100% with you on that call. Value range, and also if my internet, we got a thunderstorm rolling through here, so if I cut in and out, let me know. Anything else for value for you here?
We like the Tigers. McKinstry's been pretty good for them, so I don't mind that. Let's see. Mentioned Turner at first. I think that's all I got here at third.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. There's not a lot of value that I'd look to target. Um, Duran, if you're going against Kikuchi, again, I like Josh Jung too much to play Ezekiel Duran, but this is a guy that has hit lefties well in his career there also. All right, shortstop. Yesterday, we were deciding between Betts and Witt. They both homered, so it didn't really matter. It's kind of in the same situation here again today. Betts, Witt, Gunnar, Lindor, even Volpe, Seager feels too cheap, even lefty there. Can just kind of spend up wherever you want. I think it's short today.
Yeah, always loaded at the top end of shortstop. Betts is catching a lot of ownership. He's one of the guys I'll be underweight on. He can hit 2 home runs or steal 2 bases. There's a lot of ways he can beat me, but I'm gonna lean into Feltner being pretty good at this point and hope that Mookie can't pay off the $6K price tag. So pivots in this range. Gunnar Henderson, the first guy I'm looking to. I know he's lefty, but don't really care. Again, an elite hitter. Was on the IL to start the season, so price probably not fully adjusted quite yet. In on Gunnar Henderson for sure. Corey Seager, lefty, always scares people away a little bit. Definitely like that as well. Let's see here. Swanson in a Cubs stack. I prefer him against lefties, but we love the matchup for the Cubs.
We do.
Trevor Story, another one of those Red Sox righties I don't mind chasing home runs from.
I would go Jacob Wilson here. I wish they would just move him up to the top of the lineup and not keep moving him down to the bottom. But this is a guy that might win a batting title at some point during his career. Like you go look at his prospect. He had like a 60 hit rating, which is is almost as high as they really give. They don't really often give you a 70 or 80 tool on a guy. Hit 400 during the minors, and he just makes a lot of contact. So if you're looking just for some hits against Burke tonight, maybe a wraparound where he gets driven in by the top of the A's lineup as they swing back, I think you could take a look at that. Warren wanted our thoughts on Ryan McMahon. We can lump him with Ezekiel Tovar here. Do we like any of these Colorado bats against Landon Knack today?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. The Dodgers bullpen is a concern, and Knack, I'm interested in picking on Knack, but picking on the Dodgers overall is not.
Yeah, Knack could be there for 3 innings, and then what? Right?
Yeah, exactly. But Ryan McMahon is a totally fine one-off for me.
Yep, I agree. And there's not really much else that I would look to for the value range. Sweeney's hit 9th. If you're not hitting on Priester, maybe, but that's probably it for me. Outfield then. Again, sort of the same situations. You can pick your guy and build your stack around them, whether it's Ohtani homered last night, Aaron Judge. I think Kyle Tucker is certainly a guy we're going to be looking to go to as we've pounded Cubs during this entire show today. Tatis homered twice yesterday. Again, I'm fine really any of these plays.
Yeah, like shortstop, super elite position. The top end is fantastic. I think Tucker is my favorite hitter on the entire slate. Dude's been absolutely incredible, playing for a contract. Nothing bad to say about Kyle Tucker in this matchup. Tatis is really interesting. Imanaga is a great starting pitcher, but he is a fly ball starting pitcher. He did not give up home runs last year. I think that regresses a little bit this season. So certainly don't mind chasing a Tatis home run again after 2 yesterday. Mike Trout's been really good. I like the matchup for him against Molly, who's still working his way back, not 100% maybe from that injury. Love Mike Trout today. Has been absolutely crushing the ball, as he does when he's healthy. Yordan Alvarez against Fetty, I'm certainly in on that as well. Sure. Always chasing home runs with Rooker, definitely in on that.
Again, I don't think there's really a wrong answer, of that kind of group. Maybe you'd be less inclined to go Chourio against Flaherty, but it's Jackson Chourio we're talking about here. He can just as capable of getting it together. If you look in the mid range, you do have Tyler O'Neill hitting 3rd tonight versus a lefty. We know the power that he possesses in that split matchup there. Willie Abreu, again, StatCast page is all red and all to the right. A guy with over 400 batting average and balls in play. If you think Boston's offense clicks at all, you got to think Willier might be a reason for it. And then Ian Happ, again, another lefty that's going to be in that lineup leading off today for the Cubs against Vasquez.
Yeah, Ian Happ is my favorite guy in this range, unsurprisingly, as much as we love Cubs today. Tyler O'Neill is right there next to him, though. Big-time power against the lefty, as you mentioned.
Taylor Ward, also a ton of power right now. Look at the home runs we're getting out of him. 4 in the last 5 games today. Good matchup for him against Tyler Mahle. We were really close. There were some split reports about this maybe being Patrick Corbin on the other side, but I think either way today, the Angels are going to, I think, potentially put some runs on the board. Jorge Soler's there at $4,200 as well.
Yeah, chasing home runs from Angels is something I'm highly interested in today. So certainly all right there. Riley Green, probably the most talented hitter in the Tigers lineup. I like the spot for them against Priester. Let's see here. Christopher Morel has been pretty hot here recently. If Buehler isn't quite right, certainly no qualms going to a guy like that.
Ton of power. You like to ride the hot streaks with a guy like Christopher Morel. That's for sure.
Yes. Yep. Similar to Michael Busch, like a guy who can just hit home runs in bunches when he's right. So definitely like that. Kerry Carpenter, another Tigers bat that I like a good amount here. Cameron Meisner has been absolutely incredible. I believe he had 2 home runs yesterday. So sprinkling in some Rays, targeting Buehler just a little bit there. Luis Robert is really cheap for his talent level. I like Springs. I'm going to play a ton of Springs. But if I had to pick one White Sox hitter, it'd be Luis Robert. Yeah,
I called this one out last night on the previous show as well. 5 stolen bases in the last 5 games, which is nice. When he gets on base, he's just being aggressive. And then he has power. He just doesn't want to be there. I don't blame him. So you got to take the good with the bad, I guess, there. The Meisner call, obviously, last night, we were all in on Tampa Bay, the lefties especially. But Buehler also having trouble against lefties, so that's certainly fine. Working our way down to some more value. Hunter Renfroe feels washed, but...
Yeah. I mean, he's still got power, right? He's probably going to strike out a little bit too much. Pete Crow Armstrong, a name that we didn't mention that I definitely want to get out there. He's been showing power lately. We know he's got the speed in the defense. If the home runs start to come as well, we're talking about a guy with a massive fantasy ceiling here.
Yeah,
shouldn't have any problem with
someone that has like 20 homer, 40 stolen base seasonal upside. So I mean, definitely a good spot to get there. I'm with you on that at 4K.
And I love that he's up at 4K. He's a little bit overpriced, you might say, but not for this matchup. So same thing with Michael Busch. Like paying $4,700 for Michael Busch doesn't feel comfortable, but when you factor in the matchup, man, these Cubs just look so good today.
I agree. I like Cam Smith at $2,400. I'll play that again. Didn't do anything for us last night against Sonny Gray. Different matchup, same price. Super talented kid. Again, you talk about like key pieces coming back in deals. Well, this is the guy that they traded Kyle Tucker for. So, Cam Smith to me, $2,400 just feels way too cheap. Anything else for you down here that you'd look to play?
Let's see here. I think we covered most of the ones that I'm going to be well over the field on, seeing if I can just find another name here. No, I don't have anything else. Lawrence Butler, a guy up at the top that we didn't talk about, I have a decent amount of exposure to. Just targeting the rookie on the other side. Nothing else.
Pilar hitting 5th today against Kikuchi. Again, not your like prototypical. Your mind doesn't often go to Kevin Pilar as a must plug for a lineup stack, but he is in a good run scoring position here. So, if I start our lineup with Busch, Pico Armstrong, and Kyle Tucker, that's 5K. We like Springs, and you said Flaherty. So that's $35.60 a position. We had definitely had some value at the catcher spot with Higashioka, $38.50.
Josh Young at 3rd, somebody we both really like.
Josh Young at 3rd, great shout there. So 2nd short and outfield.
Baltimore would be my next look. I'm not sure if we have the salary for it in this lineup. We'd have to get pretty cheap with the other positions if we plugged in Gunnar. Westberg, a guy that I like quite a bit as well, a little bit cheaper maybe.
We did Cam Smith in the outfield, 24. There's a 4K second baseman, Kyron Paris. Kind of continue with the get us an Angel exposure that we're looking for, a Rengifo.
I'd lean Paris there in that spot.
So something like that could play together. Gives us our Cubs, gives us a little of a Texas stack. With the Gunnar Henderson spend up, if you were looking to make a pivot from Gunnar from everybody else there.
Yeah, the lefty, he's not going to get played at the rate that he should be. Baltimore is one of the top offenses of the day, and I'm not afraid of Logan Allen at all.
Nope, I agree. All right, example lineup for everybody here: Springs, Flaherty, Higashioka, Busch, Paris, Young, Henderson, Pico Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, Cam Smith. Primary notes of the day is we're looking to stack Cubs. Cubs against Randy Vasquez is our top overall stack today. I do like some Tampa Bay. I do like the Angels against Texas today as well. And vice versa. Again, that matchup, Mahle versus Kikuchi, probably going to see some runs and some home runs hit in that matchup. And then again, the Yankees versus Michael Wacha, I think we can go to. Keith gave some really good numbers on Ryan Pepio. You know, the Dodgers getting some ownership love. They're always a dangerous lineup to fade. We're not suggesting to play Pepio, but tonight, if the Dodgers get held down,
no, we
Pepio,
are suggesting to play Pep. It's Feltner against
Feltner. Sorry.
Yep.
Pepio, the Tampa Bay against Boston. Pepio was
we like Pepio.
the Dodgers before,
yep.
So I got thrown off there. But Feltner, some good underlying numbers for Feltner. So if the Dodgers get held down tonight, we could be looking at some more money here this evening. So guys, go check out the playbook from Justin Carlucci live over at Fantasy Alarm. Get in our Discord, 7-day free trial still going on. Check it all out. We'll have the preview show tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow with a live show for Wednesday's slate. We'll talk to you later.